Welcome to another XFL Markcast. Thanks for joining us once again. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening via Spreaker or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, whatever it might be. So, how's the internet connection looking right now? Looking better?
It's good. I cannot wait for this at the end of the show. I thought, first off, I thought you were going to compliment me on my nice hat.
I didn't notice that.
I have Paul's other podcast, Will House. I have a Will House hat on because I do think we're going to get into some Will House-like territory at the end of the show. So I am very excited for that. I figured just in honor today, I would wear the Will House hat on the Markcast. So there you go.
We appreciate that. And of course, Will House, Willhouse, not house like House, House. Check it out. It's a comedy podcast. It's fun.
And we're getting breaking news today in Paul's life on the podcast. So I'm very excited for the end of the show. We're going to get to all the XFL stuff. We're going to get to everything. And then at the end of the show, I'm excited to hear this story about Paul's internet connection.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. It's great. And by the way, on that note, the shower is currently running. And we'll come back to that in a second.
Yeah, this is wild. Paul is living next to quite possibly the most interesting man in the world. So I'm very excited to hear about this.
Or worst.
Yeah, worst.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Before we get started today, I wanted to say where I'm at right now. It's February 2021, so it's not February 2020. I'm currently watching The Last Dance. I am just finished episode 9, and I think MJ and the guys might have it. I'm hoping I have my fingers.
You might win.
It's good though. I'm all in. I'm very hyped about this. I remember living through a lot of this now. It's all, Steve Kerr hitting the threes and everything. It's all kind of coming back to my head.
I just want to point out that behind every GOAT, there's a Wildcat. There's an Arizona Wildcat. Whether it be Steve Kerr, whether it be Rob Gronkowski, whether it be LeBron James with Richard Jefferson. Oh my gosh. Speaking of Willhouse, there's a
co-host extraordinaire.
As well, Mr. Purvis calling. I told him I'm recording. I don't know why he's calling, but we're moving on. No edits.
Anyway, so I'm thrilled. I'm going to watch that tonight. But just phenomenal, just all the way around. I mean, even though because the thing starts, the Bulls win 6 championships. But every single time it's like, man, okay, then they came back. It's like, okay, then they came back. Jordan, that's what I needed to get PO'd to that guy, or that why, it's a really wild, what could I find to get ticked off about this one random player? He didn't say hi to me at a golf match. He's going down, You
ever notice that, there's that meme that's I took that personally. You can go on YouTube and search out Michael Jordan personally. And there's a 5-minute clip where he talks about all the things he took personally. I mean, that's a killer mentality, though. That's the kind of mentality you want as a sports player, is any kind of perceived slight, you take it personally and you shove it back in their face. I'm not even a sports personality. That's people that doubt you, you can't clean that bathroom in 10 minutes. I take that personally. I can clean that bathroom in 10 minutes. So
yeah, it's good. So just a couple notes here getting off the show. I have, for the life of me, forever tried to get a Taylor Heineke Washington football jersey. The NFL they're sold out. They don't have any Washington football because I'm sure they're working on the rebrand. Jake Henry, he bought a Taylor Heineke on the same website that I bought my PJ Walker one. They have for any I know we have a lot of people that listen, and P. Ramirez and Kevin and all the people that the airfire.com, where I got my PJ one, they got a really cool Heineke jersey, a Battlehawks Heineke jersey that you can get, which is pretty cool. And then I got a Washington football one off there as well for Heineke on there. So if you're looking for jerseys, Jake's got, it's an awesome, I think it's from the exact same seller I got my PJ Walker one from. So if you are a fan of the Battlehawks, of Heineke, of whatever, just hit me up. I'll send you the link. But I got one coming. I'm really excited. It's like $40. I mean, it's a really low pay through PayPal. So it's all, and like I said, I have proof in the pudding. We got one that looked great.
Yep.
So
it didn't look bad at all. So there you go. I hit you up about that.
And
the other thing, I guess, right here.
The other note, we had our big blunder last week. You know, we had the Westerman Media deal with Redbird Capital. Mark with XFL News Hub. For the first time in my life, I put a story on the Google Doc that we didn't think related to XFL. Turns out that Westerman Media has a deal with one team, and Oliver Luck is part of one team. So Redbird has a deal with one team and Oliver Luck. So it's the slightest bit tangentially connected, but it is. I just wanted to just throw that out there.
As Will would say, you're being a little bit Stretch Armstrong right now. A little bit.
I had my big wonder. I just wanted to point that out. So, got messages about that. And Mark came at me and tweeted that. And so I wanted to point that out that Mark with News Hub found that connection. So, I want to wax a little philosophical today about news, XFL news, the need for news, what constitutes news. This I have seen reports all week. The XFL website is updated. There's new stuff. I've seen it on message boards. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it on everything. The website is not new. Anyone that's listening to this, Paul, I know you probably check it like every other day, like I do. I'm just letting you know. The big news came out this week that you can sign up for an email list to get info about tickets for future XFL games, and you can select one of the 8 cities. And so the thinking is, right, okay, all these cities, they're all coming back, whatever. This is not news. I filled this out back in August. There is nothing updated about this at all. I know other XFL podcasts have even done stories about this in the last month. This is not new at all, but I see it. The amount of traction that something like that gets astounds me. But yet, like, we had Quentin Flowers on last week, which I thought was a really good interview, former XFL stars in the Fangirls of Football, and not quite the wildfire I thought the interview would be. Do you get where I'm trying to get philosophical here of where one, people go crazy. I get it's the cities, I get it's whatever. And then we have this great interview with Quentin Flowers. People asked for it, we got it. And then it's like, it still did good, but it wasn't like, it just didn't get the wildfire. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Why?
I mean, I don't know why. I think that, like, maybe what 2 people find interesting might not be what 50 people find interesting. And then out of those 50 that don't find that thing that 2 people find interesting, there's 3 that find something interesting that those 2 people and the other 47 don't find. It's weird. You can't please everybody all the time. That's basically, I think, what you're trying to get at. And, we're doing our best to bring you news to fill the time until this kicks off again. And we appreciate all our listeners, but keep listening, keep subscribing.
Yeah, it's just interesting because I want to be a resource. If you see stuff, I know Zach messaged me, listener. He goes, "Hey, is this new?" I said, "This is not new." So, I can be your yay and nay. Hey, Reed, is this a new thing? Is this news? We are with XFL News Hub. I have Mike Mitchell. I could ask Mike Mitchell, leading resource of XFL News, about anything at any given time. So if you guys have questions about what's news or whatever, reach out. Let me know, because the XFL website thing is not new. I saw that posted in every Facebook group that I belong in across the world. And it's just interesting, like, the speculation that goes with that when people are so hungry for news. And it's like, it's kind of like, I was telling Dorothy about this. It's kind of like, when we as a collective society remember something that didn't happen, like everyone thinks there was 2 Shazam movies, but there wasn't. Like, have you heard this phenomenon?
Right. It's similar to Mandela effect.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And it's like, so everyone goes, oh, the XFL website's new, like, right. And we're all remembering this. And it's like, no, it's not. And I'm not saying it shouldn't be new right now, and they shouldn't have updated, and it's been months since they've done anything. But it's just interesting that people kind of collectively remember something, and then it's not the way it is. So, anyway.
I mean, there's just like, it's not. I know what you're talking about, the Mandela effect, with like Curious George, basically. That's like the big thing that people, did Curious George have a tail? Yes or no? And if you remember it one way, you are a victim of the Mandela effect. If you remember it the other way, you actually remember reality.
Did he have a tail?
Nope.
Curious George didn't have a tail? My mind is blown.
He didn't have a tail, but you remember him having a tail.
When you say I do. Anyway, so I just saw that going around this week. I wanted to get that out of the way. It's not news. It's been that way. It doesn't mean they're going to do all the teams, any of that stuff. I think The Rock has a lot of things going on right now. Young Rock premiered this week. We're not talking about it. It got 5 million viewers. We're not talking about it. But I think XFL is very low on the priority right now. It seems like from The Rock and Danny and them. So
I need to say something else too. Criticism is always welcome. Reed, bless his heart, puts almost 40 hours into this podcast a week. I just show up. I keep saying it. It's cliche. I show up every Wednesday, Thursday when we record, and I produce the audio version and maybe design a t-shirt. That's all I do. Reed puts in so much work. So when Reed gets messages from anybody being overly critical and negative, it upsets me too, because you don't understand how hard Reed works at this. So I just want to put that out there, like, give Reed a pat on the back. He works really hard to put this podcast together. So let's cut him some slack and let's not be negative all the time towards him in private messages, in whatever form of communication you have with Reed. Please.
Thank you. Yeah. I know news is quiet. We're doing our best. I would like to think of us as kind of your check all, is this news? Is this not? We'll let you know. Like I said, if I don't know, we have writers that I can ask: Mike, Josh, Jay Noakes. I can ask Mark Perry, Mark Perry, owner of XFL News Hub, at any given time if you guys have any questions. So if I'm not the expert, we have experts that we can reach out to. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. The biggest non-news news story that went viral again. Paul, did you think that we would be talking about He Hate Me in 2021? Rod Smart.
Unless we were interviewing him, no.
Biggest news story of the week. He Hate Me trademark, trademarked by the XFL.
Why isn't Rod Smart allowed to trademark that?
Well, so yes. Okay. So here, and this is a great question. So again, this all goes back to, what constitutes news, what's news. So this came out on Twitter like 2 days ago. XFL has trademarked He Hate Me. That means that they are trying to make clothing, whatever, about He Hate Me. That was the story. Right. So it goes crazy. Everyone, oh my God, He Hate Me. What's going on? All this stuff. So if you go back and I did the research and people did the research, so this is not new at all. This is not a big deal. This is not a thing. So in 2002, Rod Smart, He Hate Me, tried to file for a trademark. Get the 3, whatever, wanted to get He Hate Me for athletic, personal appearances, whatever. Took him 3 years to get the trademark. And then it was later abandoned because he had failed to do some updates and stuff to show whatever. So he lost it in 2011. And then in 2016, the new XFL, for whatever God knows reason.
Because it's Vince.
Yeah, right. Vince has to own everything. Trademarked it in 2016. They haven't used it, obviously. And then this week, it was updated. You have to use it within 3 years. So it had gone away, the bankruptcy, everything. So this is like a whole new, so that's why it shows it's like a whole new trademark thing. But this is not new. There is no potential of them doing clothes and stuff. I don't think. I think this is just them housekeeping, keeping stuff away. But my point is, you see this at first blush and you go, oh my God, this is crazy. What's going on? Come to us, come to someone that knows, and let's share the info. What do you think? I've talked a lot. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I mean, I think that if anybody should have the rights to this, it should be Rod Smart. And I'm hoping that maybe this is just a situation where they hand it off to him. Like we took care of this for you. And not try to own He Hate Me, because that was all Rod Smart. And I feel like The Rock and Danny are doing this above the board and respectable. So I'm not certain that this is going to be a situation where they're going to, for lack of a better term, keep this trademark away from the person who created it.
Yeah, and who gives a crap about He Hate Me? Really? What 3 people will go out and buy a He Hate Me shirt or whatever as an old XFL 01 mark? I mean, really,
would buy one.
Huh?
I would buy a He Hate Me shirt.
You would buy a He Hate Me?
I would buy a He Hate Me jersey, yeah. That was great.
I was trying to figure out the title for this episode, and I have an idea later too, but it could be we hate He Hate Me or something. But I guess we don't hate He Hate Me. Paul loves He Hate Me.
He Hate Me is great.
Anyway, this went viral. It went crazy. I saw so many people commenting about this, and it's exciting. We want XFL news, but just that took 2 minutes. You read the article. It's like on Twitter now, when you go to share something, it's like, are you sure you want to read the article first? Read the article, ask us, ask someone, but I don't think this is that big of a deal. I just think it's paperwork. I know this took up a lot of the Google Doc to get through all that. The best quote about this, Mark Nelson, he's the founder of XFL Board. That's like a XFL forums and stuff. You can write everything on there. He goes, the fact that XFL re-upped their trademark is a huge nothing burger. They already had a reservation on this trademark since 2001. They're just keeping their hands on it and out of the hands of anybody else. So that's kind of where that's at. But anyway, that was kind of the big news story this week, just because it went so viral and it really was a huge nothing burger. I love that saying.
Nothing burger.
Yeah.
Good saying.
Do you think Tim Tebow is going to play in the XFL?
No.
I saw this. Mark Perry I think they're working on an article as we speak about this. No, Tim Tebow. He's like 31, right?
Yeah. Who announces their retirement from AA baseball?
No, Tim Tebow.
Why? Who cares? AA baseball.
So he never made it to the pros.
No. I mean, he's in spring training.
Was he ever any good?
He's decent. I mean, I don't think he was ever going to be major league caliber, but he gave it a shot and he actually started moving up the system. He had I think at least one spring training where he did really well. Other than that, I mean, it's kind of hard, like Jordan, kind of hard to start a new sport after so many years being known for another sport. I mean, Dion did it, but Dion was playing both. Bo Jackson was playing both at the same time. So,
well, yeah, I'm very attuned to the pro sports players going to baseball right now because of the whole last dance. And they said on there one of the coaches was like, "Oh yeah, if Jordan would have stuck with it, like he would have made the pros." Do you believe that? Do you believe Jordan would have made the pros for the White Sox?
Yeah, I do.
He was that good?
I don't think he was that good initially, but I think he could learn. Like he could eventually get there. I mean, he's just the greatest. Like he's the greatest basketball player. No, don't at me with your LeBron takes. Jordan never lost a final. Sorry, spoiler alert for The Last Dance. Reed. Sorry about that.
I do like how they showed. They're like when Jordan went to the Cubs, he was talking with like Nick or whoever his trainer, and they're like, "You're going to have to totally rework your body." Baseball is a totally different sport. And then they show him just like laying on the ground, like stretching. Like they didn't do a good job, like showing how much. They kind of made it seem like baseball was an easier sport to play.
It is an easier sport to play depending on position. There are positions that, like, pitcher, that you don't necessarily have to have the cardio that you have to have if you're, in the outfield. Those kinds of things. And they have the shift in baseball too, which means you're not really running around too much. So yeah, I think that if you're in the outfield, definitely cardio, because you're running around the outfield. But other than that, although there's a new video of Aroldis Chapman pitching, he looks even more yoked than he did when he gave up a game-winning home run against the Astros 2 years ago. So, stupid smirk. Still mad about that.
So Tebow not going to the XFL. You think he's gonna? What do you think? Go into PR, do something. Go into marketing.
They'll do ESPN, Fox. Someone will hire him to be a commentator. He's got a good presence. Yeah. There
you go. Well, I just wanted again, we're just touching on things. This week, big. I know you're a Stephen A. Smith fan. He is high on our boy Heineke. They were asking him about him on First Take. What do you think about? Do you want to read this quote, or do you want me to read it? About
you want me to do it?
Sure.
Y'all are not gonna believe this, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's gonna be Taylor Heineke. If you watch this kid, Taylor Heineke, perform in the postseason against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when he was just trusted onto center stage, he didn't look too shabby, not at all.
Viewers of the YouTube channel know that Paul just turned into Stephen A. Smith in front of our eyes. Audio listeners might think that Stephen A. was on the podcast right there.
I don't sound like that.
That was Paul. What do you think? I mean, Stephen's all in on Heineke.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad. I don't know if it's Stephen A. just trying to be, trying to throw a controversial opinion out there. But when you look at the fact that Taylor Heineke scored more touchdowns against the Tampa Bay defense than Patrick Mahomes did, then maybe you're cooking with some gas there, potentially.
It was interesting. I was listening to it was some DC sports talk this week. I saw a post on Twitter, and they were asking Heineke about the deal or whatever. He's like, I didn't even want to hear about it. They're like, oh, did any other teams ask? You're like, I didn't want to hear anything. I wanted to be in DC. Like, he had no idea. Like, he just had his agent. They just like signed that deal. Seemed weird. Like, I would maybe have wanted to like play the field a little bit. But yeah, he seems like very no nonsense. He's like, nope, I wanted to be in DC. Like, I didn't even listen to anybody. I just came back on and my agent said it was done. So,
I mean, I think it's, right now Taylor's a starter. We'll see what happens in the draft. There's some great quarterbacks available in the draft. I think that there might be some trepidation about North Dakota State's Trey Lance. And we'll talk about that in a second. That's coming up. But I mean, Justin Fields is great. Zach Wilson at BYU is great. We already know Trevor Lawrence is going to Jacksonville, so there's really no debating that. It's going to be interesting to see what Washington does in the draft, and if maybe Taylor starts and then maybe their draft pick takes over midseason, depending on how it's going. I mean, if Washington starts out 6-2, because that NFC East is terrible. Yep. If Washington starts out 6-2, then and Taylor's playing all 8 games, maybe you just ride Taylor for the rest of the season. I don't know.
Yeah, the article noted that, Washington probably isn't done in the offseason, like you said, with the draft or whatever. But it's somebody there. It's good. He's got a lot of people on his back, kind of on his side. I'm glad, too, that we recorded after they announced the Carson Wentz going to Philadelphia. So that's good. Do you think?
And that's exactly what I was talking about with Trey Lance, because Carson Wentz came from North Dakota State. So when I saw Carson Wentz when he went to Philly, I was like, okay, this guy's probably a sure thing. And he ended up not being a sure thing. I don't think Carson Wentz was ever going to be a starting quarterback in the NFL after his first year. Nick Foles came in. We remember how that happened, how that went. Took Philadelphia all the way to the Super Bowl title. And then Nick Foles was no longer the starter, and they just said, well, we got so much money and time invested in Carson Wentz, and now he's on his way to Indianapolis, which I think is good for both sides. I think Indianapolis needed a starting quarterback, and let's see if Carson Wentz can do something there. As far as the Eagles go, where do they go from here?
Jalen, right? People all in.
Yeah, people are all in on Jalen, but they also have another quarterback in Philadelphia that's currently lining up as a wide receiver. He was once a Heisman candidate until Kevin Sumlin ruined him at Arizona. His name is Khalil Tate. So there's that too.
It's interesting. Anyway, I like to keep up on the Heineke thing. We'll keep an eye on Washington. I think he's got a better shot than PJ Walker right now to see any play time, by a long shot. So I saw this thing about June Jones with Trevor Lawrence. Kind of got news cycle that he's not as high on Trevor Lawrence. What do you think about this?
I think Trevor Lawrence is a once in a decade quarterback, and I think June Jones is missing the boat here on Trevor.
June Jones was the one that, he scouted PJ, so people tend to, think that he kind of knows a thing or two. But yeah, interesting. I think you say stuff just to get clicks, and this seems like something that I wouldn't take him number one. It just seems like something you would say to kind of generate a little buzz.
I'm trying to think of the general, the order for the draft. I'm trying to think of what teams need what. So let me look at that real quick. I don't see a situation where hopefully, yep. Okay, no audio there. Good. I don't see a situation where do the Jets want to give Darnold another chance? Miami has got the 3rd pick. They've already got Tua, so they're going to drop down. Matt Ryan was picked in 2015, is now going to be 2021, 6 years. I think Matt Ryan's going to get more time to try to do that.
Yep.
The Bengals have Joe Burrow. They're not going to take a quarterback. The Eagles could take a quarterback there. And if they don't think Jalen Hurts is going to be the guy, they could take another quarterback there. And let's see, the Lions, they got Jared Goff. The Panthers, I don't think they take another quarterback there.
Yeah, but we've speculated about that. We've speculated.
Maybe. I mean, the Broncos definitely need a quarterback. The Broncos need a franchise quarterback. They haven't had a good franchise quarterback since Elway. So I think the Broncos are a scenario where they could pick up like, a Justin Fields or a Zach Wilson. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. Anyway, June on Trevor, he's saying everyone's saying that's the guy at number one. I would trade that pick and take one of these other quarterbacks down the line. He ranked two different quarterbacks, Mac Jones and then Zach Wilson ahead of Trevor Lawrence. Do you agree with those takes?
I still think Mac Jones is great, but I think Trevor Lawrence is still the generational quarterback.
Yeah,
I think that's the guy.
We'll see. He's just so handsome. I mean, he really is he's really just a handsome guy. So The Rock was on Cigar Aficionado this week, wearing the photo they have on the website is him in the tightest shirt I've ever seen, and that's my pitch for the other title of this episode. Is The Rock wears tight shirts. So let me know at the end of the episode which one we want to go with. There's a paywall on this site, so I didn't pay for it, but we did get a quote from XFL News Hub. He was talking about Young Rock, and they were talking about the XFL, which is good because that's the thing. People think The Rock's got other priorities, and that's great. But every time that he and Danny do an interview, XFL is still coming up, which is it's good for the XFL. He says, my dreams of playing in the NFL never happened. Look, Warren Sapp beat me out for my position. I had lots of injuries. None of those mattered. At the end of the day, I wasn't good enough. What the XFL will provide is an opportunity for future players to play. If the XFL was around for me in 95 and I didn't get drafted, you can believe I would have gotten on the XFL field. So that's good. I don't know who is paying the paywall for the Cigar Aficionado articles or picking it up. They said, or you can pick it up at magazine stands. So if you want to,
I normally see whenever I'm flying in the airport, that's where I see Cigar Aficionado. And I also want to point out, Arizona Wildcats wise, back in 1994, it didn't matter if you put Warren Sapp or The Rock on that defensive line. Arizona was going to run right through you, Miami. 29 zip. I actually got blocked by Warren Sapp on Twitter once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's great.
Anyway, but I really want to use this photo on the episode. I don't want to get sued by Cigar Aficionado, but it is the tightest yellow dress shirt thing. It's really incredible. Anyway, but The Rock's making the rounds. They're talking about Young Rock. It did good. 5 million viewers, so that's good. Huh?
The poll's in. We're not talking about it.
I know we're not talking about it. But if anyone wants to talk about Young Rock, my DMs are open, and I'm going to watch it this weekend. So I'm going to catch up.
There you go.
We have an article from Greg Parks. Greg's going to be coming on the show here in a couple weeks to talk. He's moving and working on other stuff. This was a great column on XFL Board. If you guys want to read it, the title is "The XFL Should Be Kicking Off Today. They Aren't, and It's the Right Move." And I put kind of two of his big takeaways here of the reasons why the XFL took that year off. We've debated this on the podcast. The continuing uncertainty of the pandemic, and then the inability to get a structure in place to make the league effective in such a short amount of time. What do you think about? Obviously, we could be doing XFL stuff right now. We're not. So what do you think about the decision now that we're, here?
It's safe. I mean, you're giving us another year buffer to see how the pandemic gets under control in the next year. We're rolling out vaccines. We're starting to do better on vaccines. So, I think it's, we've said it before. We got to get this thing under control before we even start thinking about adding things to our normal repertoire.
So anyway, Greg's great. He does a lot of XFL coverage, XFL Board, but that's a great article if you want to get into, should the XFL be going on right now? Should it not? We're going to have him come on and talk about some stuff here in a couple of weeks, and we can get schedules figured out. So Greg is a great guy, and just wanted to
a load of signings, I should say. Toronto Argonauts signing Wildcats defensive lineman Sean Oakman, the Guardians running back Matt Colburn, Renegades linebacker Richard Clayette. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And the Vipers defensive back Tavares McFadden. So apparently 65 former XFLers are in the CFL for the next season. Be careful on those knees. That turf is horrendous.
Yeah, we're going to be talking CFL stuff coming up. They're one of the teams like Edmonton, with Edmonton, and they got Jamie Elizondo, Taylor Cornelius. They're doing like a fan vote on the names. It was like the Edmonton, because I think they were the Eskimos, and then it was kind of like the Washington football thing, and they said they couldn't be the Eskimos anymore. So we'll definitely be keeping an eye on the CFL. I expect a lot of those guys to bounce in, but tons of signings for the CFL.
True that.
The other thing, Major League Football is giving an update. This is kind of another spring league people have been talking about. Brian Woods is still going to be coming on talking about spring league coming back in May, the kickoff we talked about last week. Spring league is going to be coming back in May. This Major League Football people are hyped on. It's kind of going to be a demo season is what they're calling it, a demonstration season. It's going to be nationally televised, 3 cities and 3 to 4 weeks of play. I don't know why they just don't do a bubble. I don't know why you would bounce around and do a couple different cities. But the quote is they feel like a demonstration season format is both financially viable and affords the best protection for our players, coaches, staffs, and fans. And it's going to start in July. So that's going to be another thing we'll keep an eye on. But Major League Football, we had talked about that before. Just as some more kind of alt football to fill the schedule.
And a new league to look forward to is the European League of Football, announced for June of 2021. Of course, remember they had World League for a while that became NFL World or something like that. So there's a new football league coming out there too.
Yeah, one of the guys, the XFL Dragons, Marcel Frazier. I was there when he got like the awesome pick 6. Against the Vipers the first week at home for the Dragons. He's going to be one of the defensive line coaches. So that kind of got me onto that. Vince with Alt Football Scouting Report on Twitter was talking about that. Again, just more, it's the ELF League. I love that, the European League of Football. I think that's a phenomenal acronym for a league. But I'll be keeping an eye on that coming up.
Very cool. And the former XFL Guardians Director of Player Personnel and Personnel Director for the AAF Hot Shots, Alan Tripp McCracken, has joined the Jaguars front office.
Per Mike Mitchell, just keeping an eye on some of that stuff.
McCracken. That sounds like a villain name.
Jaguars the Cons have no lack of money right now. They're going all in on this. They're
all elite. They're all elite.
All elite. What's his name? The coach. He's got the big football coach that's going to the Jaguars.
Oh, Urban Meyer.
Yeah, Urban Meyer. Weird name. That's a weird name. Is that like an old Southern name, like Urban Meyer?
I don't know. I mean, like I was in Utah when he was there. I was working in Salt Lake City when he was the Utah head coach, and people were like, "Who is this guy? He's like really exciting, apparently." And like Utah went undefeated that year. The year after he came in, and of course got the job. After that he got the job at Florida, which everyone was surprised about because everyone thought he was either headed to Notre Dame or Ohio State. Eventually ended up Ohio State. I do have concerns about Urban Meyer.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, I do. I do.
I mean, you look at his team from Florida that one year, you got Aaron Hernandez, you got a bunch of people that got in trouble. And I mean, the hiring of the coach that just happened and that guy resigned like 2 days later. I have concerns about Urban Meyer. I do.
Also,
about the culture he has.
Also, just going from coaching college kids to pros, I think is totally different. And building that repertoire, like in the locker room, like you can't. Yeah, I think college guys you can really saddle down, and maybe he didn't. But I mean, I think it's easier to kind of talk down the college guys and get them in line.
Look, Nick Saban is probably the greatest college coach of all time. And how did he do in the NFL?
Yeah,
not good.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we're going to take a quick break, do a little commercial break here, and come back and talk about fan control football and spring league stuff. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Segment 2 of the XFL Markcast. Friend of the show, Kent Shelby, apparently signing with the Tucson Sugar Skulls. I should be able to say that correctly, seeing that I was born and raised in Tucson.
That's a great name for a team, the Sugar Skulls. I love that.
Sugar Skulls. Yeah, it's very ethnic. It's very regional. It's very embracing of the heritage of Tucson, and I'm here for it. I got Nydia a Dodgers Sugar Skull. Like, it's really cool. It's really awesome. So, he's going to go down there.
I guess he was going to the Toronto Argos, and then he released this tweet. Got released from the Argos before I had a chance. He only tweets in capitals. Before I had a chance to make it out there. Not mad, just had to make another move to get where I'm going. Failure is not an option. So anyway, friend of the show, Kent Shelby, he came on talking about the spring league stuff back months ago. Good for him. And then there's just a couple other CFL signings here we can bust.
Alpha's defensive back from the TSL. Damon Webb is going to the Rough Riders. Jordan Moore from the Generals is going to the Toronto Argonauts. Dwayne Hendricks also going to the Argonauts from the Alphas. and the Austin Generals defensive end Sean Oakman going also to the Argonauts. So a bunch of Argonauts signings there.
I'm all in. I'm going to be on the CFL thing. I think that's a good. I was thinking about getting into the IFL stuff. Ernesto Locoyo, friend of the show, he's going to be good. That seems like a lot of a lot for me to try to keep up on with all the indoor leagues and the arena leagues and all that kind of stuff. But I think the CFL, I think I can manage. There's like 12 teams, right?
Yeah,
I think I can manage that. So anyway, that'll be my game plan coming up here in later in the season.
All right. So now here's the moment that probably everybody's been waiting for. Fan control football.
What'd you think?
Reed forced me to watch the second game. I'm kidding. He didn't force me. He just asked me politely. He had some things to attend to, and we needed some other eyes on the product.
I watched it. I had it on the whole time. I watched the first game. I watched half the second game. I think it's good. Like I said, I don't think Paul needs to watch every second of every game about this, but I do think it was good so that we could have an educated opinion about, what we think about the first week of games.
Well, first and foremost, I do want to say that it's serious bugging me. First and foremost, I do want to say that like the Manziel thing worked. Signing Johnny Manziel worked because guess what? They were on ESPN.
Everything. Yep.
That worked. Effective marketing.
Yep. Just to recap, Wild Aces won 30-22. There was we'll talk about the rule snafu at the end. The Beast beat the Zappers 48-44. This week, the Wild Aces are going to be doing the Beast, and then the Glacier Boys are going to be doing the Zappers. So that's kind of exciting there. I am glad I trolled the Glacier Boys on Twitter, so I'm glad that they lost, so that we can say that they were they've not won. They're one of the only teams that have won. So what are your big picture thoughts on the game? We don't have to get through all these notes, but what were your big picture thoughts on the game?
Well, I want to talk about that end of the game snafu that happened with Richard Sherman's like, wait, we had to call our fifth down power up at the beginning of our drive. There was some confusion there.
Yeah. So what happened? Yeah. So what happened is the Glacier Boys were coming back to try to win. They were on third and whatever, and they had a penalty. And so it resulted in a loss of a down. And so what they were trying to do is because it's this stupid online rules, they had won an extra down earlier in the week by some online voting. So the thought process was, we have 5 downs right now, right? We can go again. And the refs' rules was, because you lost that 4th down, you didn't have the opportunity to then play your 5th down. Like, I'm not saying that's right.
That's the reason there's a 5th down.
I know, but it's kind of like you didn't get that step, so then you couldn't get to the platform or whatever kind of thing. But I'll tell you, because they have Richard Sherman on the game. They had him on Skype. Marshawn was there. Renee was there. Miro was there for the Beast. Sherman was there via Zoom. And he was so pissed at the end of the game. He's like, wait, what is this rule? What is it? I go, man, this is not a good way. Because, Richard Sherman's not a lot of BS. He's pretty straight shooter. And when you bring him into this new game and he feels like his team loses on a technicality at the end.
Yeah, that was weird. It just seemed weird. Like, you should be able to roll out that 5th down anytime you want to. You shouldn't have to do it before 4th down or do it at 1st down. Be like, we're going to use our 5th down this time.
Well, but they did, but it's because they lost that other.
What's the point of the 5th down if you get it on 4th down, then you don't need a 5th down.
I know. There was the first game had about 22,000 viewers on the fan control. There was 4,000 on the Kind of Funny. The peak for the Beast games I saw was 34,000. That makes sense because you have Marshawn, you got Manziel, you had a lot more bigger names in kind of that second game. I will point out XFL got 3.3 million viewers their first weekend. So I'm just pointing that out. I see.
I really don't think you can judge that because this is not on a TV network.
That's fine. I can say whatever I want. I'm just saying, I see a lot of XFL riders, and we cover that. Believe me, we're all covering this. I see a lot of people, marking out, for lack of a better word, and that's great. I'm supportive of the players and stuff too. I like to. I tweeted it, Josh Davis. I doubt he's listening to this, but he's going crazy about all the fan control stuff. I go, Josh, XFL got 3.3 million viewers the first weekend. Just remember what butters your bread here, okay? We're covering all this stuff. 3.3 million viewers is different than 30,000 on Twitch, but I know that, yes, it's online and all these other things. So I know there's a lot of caveats there. I'm just saying. It feels so slow to me. It feels like the slowest game in the history of the world.
Look, I texted you when it was going on. I'm like, they need to call a play in advance. So when that one-on-one matchup is happening, they need to give the fans the option to vote for that first play while that one-on-one match is happening. So that when they come back for the first down, that play is in and they're going. So after that, after the one-on-one happens, the first down play is in, you're voting on the second down play. You're voting on the third down play when the second down play is happening, and so on and so forth. That's what needs to happen.
My thought, and again, I like constructive criticism, and I think that's a good idea too. My thing would be, because there's 4 teams, there's 4, you're locked into your one team, right? So I can only vote on like beast plays. I can't even look at anything else. So that's what I was telling you, Matt, one of the guys with me, he's with the Wild Aces. I go, Matt, when whoever team is playing, roughly 75% of the people, right, aren't involved in that playmaking. I mean, I know the numbers are skewed, right? I mean, I'm sure that some teams have more than the others. So what I would like is, if I'm watching the Wild Aces Glacier Boys and I'm not voting on any of these teams, I would like to see, when they're doing the plays, can't they show like a little poll, or like, this is what the other team's looking at right now, like, so I can kind of see, even if I can't interact.
I think the reason why they're not doing that is because they don't want people to be tipping off the other team on what's being picked. Maybe.
Well, I mean, it's also quick. I mean, that was a concern with the XFL, when you could hear in the headsets, and they had thought, what if someone got, with all the delays and everything, I don't think you could ever really get all that across. But anyway, I think we need to be able to see something. What?
Keep going.
We need to be able to see something going on while I'm not voting. That's not just players standing on the field. So whether it's seeing a poll, just showing a couple other plays, or showing, I don't know what that is, but we have to see something that's not players standing on the field while the other teams are picking plays.
I agree with that assessment. I'm not sure that the plays are a situation where that would be an acceptable alternative. And I will say this, you're talking about a delay, and you're talking about, I think you're alluding to the idea that maybe, just maybe, even if the plays are displayed and the information is out there that this team is picking this play, I think you're saying that there's no way the other team can scout it that fast. 2017 Houston Astros.
Yeah, it does not.
This goes up at 2. Bang bang. There's a way to scout it. There's a way to scout it.
Like I said, I'm serious. Like the XFL, that was the big concern when they were going to have the headsets and all this stuff. And people really thought, they're going to be able to hear the other plays and stuff. Like it was never a concern. It's too fast. It's going too quick.
I did see something on the second game that I was like, there was a moment where he was tackled in the end zone. He ran into the end zone and was tackled, and they didn't rule a safety. They're like, he's down at the goal line. No, it's a safety.
Yeah. The rules leave a little bit to be desired. Patrick has said many times on the thing, this is a beta season. I absolutely understand that. XFL did their beta season in training camp and not asking for investors and ad revenue and whatever else they're making with Twitch. So I get it. But I don't think that's an acceptable answer. Just, this is a beta test. We're getting through this. I think you're asking people to, like, if you weren't asking for investors yet, I maybe I would buy that more, but I do think it's difficult to ask for money. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I get they're trying to get the rules figured out, but I also feel like you could have done that in training camp and not on TV. You get what I mean? You're asking people to invest in not only money, but in the games, like energy and all that kind of stuff.
Also, I feel like they need an engineer in charge to kind of like get every camera on the same shutter speed, on the same color temperature, on the same, light balance, everything.
Yeah, they love that drone shot. The drone shot is not at the same shutter speed. I don't like it's like the Madden.
It was overexposed too for some of the game. Then there was some color balance issues. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I said this last week. I get that they're really impressed with all this stuff, and I am too. I'm not saying it's not easy, but that's the level you have to be at to compete with this stuff. And this is probably above and beyond what the normal Twitch things look like, and that's great. But, you're wanting to compete against other alternative leagues. And, we watched the spring league that honestly probably had a fraction of the viewers that Fan Control Football is going to have, right? I mean, spring league, I can call a spade, right? Fan Control Football probably ran the floor with viewers compared to them, and we covered them a lot. They looked way, 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 way better than Fan Control Football did. In an empty arena, in the Alamo Dome, in the whatever, but they had a pro production crew in there. And I'm not saying that these guys aren't, but you do need to, having the wrong shutter speed on the football game, shooting at like 24p, a drone flying down the thing just doesn't look good.
Yep. Not at all. I completely agree with that. I did like the flip the field power up. That was really cool.
Yeah. So where they
way to get around the punting. Yeah. I like that idea.
It just feels like scrimmage. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of movement. If it feels like they score, they come back, they go, we're calling the play, we're stopping, we're going. It just doesn't feel like a football game where it's like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It just feels like, and we go, and then we reset, and then we go, and then we reset.
I honestly think they need to add kickers. I do. I like the idea of kicking off, having it bounce into a net like it does in indoor football, coming off, and then having a return. I like that idea, but
just a couple other, I'm not going to get into all this stuff, but the first 20-minute half took 45 minutes. The two games that were supposed to be like 5 and 6 o'clock took about 3.5 hours. So the whole, I know they're still working through things. I thought the draft worked a lot better this week. But this whole, well, no one has 3.5 hours to watch football. Well, you asked them to watch that for your two games. I understand it was two different games going on, but it went from 5 to practically 9 o'clock. I mean, it went really, really late. Yeah, I had a call. Dorothy was calling me, and it was supposed to be like at 7 something. I thought, oh, this will be done. 5 to 6, and then 6 to 7, and then that first game went like, hour 45. I thought, man, this is taking forever. Took a really long time. Journey was hurt. That sucks. Flowers got player of the game. Quentin Flowers, friend of the show.
Rightfully so at the end of the day.
Yeah. And then just my last note, we get rid of all this other stuff. The big play at the end that everyone went crazy about, that the Zappers were trying to come back against the Beast. Logan Marshy, threw the play. The guy caught it, got knocked out of bounds at like the 2-yard line. Incredible play. Everyone said, this is how it was supposed to be the whole game. Yeah. He ran past the line of scrimmage. That would have been called back. That wasn't a legal play. That wasn't. We can still say it was incredible, but let's at least acknowledge that that was a penalty, and he ran past the line of scrimmage.
Insane. Insane. And then now we have to put our disclaimer here.
Yes,
because there was a lot of profanity during the course of the.
Yeah, there was a lot of, Sherman and Lynch, that was the other note. They talked way too long in the game, like I am right now about Fan Control Football. They talked way too long. They really overwhelmed the broadcast, and there was too much profanity. I know Matt Clements says that, they're trying to appeal to a different fan base than, they're trying to appeal to the gamers, to the Twitch streamers. I do not like profanity in my broadcast. I'm sorry. I swear a lot all the time, but I do feel like content needs to be accessible by anybody. And this was the kind of stuff, this was on Barstool. This was on everything. Marshawn's call during the game.
I'm going to go ahead and throw back this Caesar salad with these croutons and all this shit, though, right? Go ahead, take me a nice fat shit, get my stomach all right and everything. Then I'm finna go out here and try to run for 200 on a 50-yard field like what's happening.
I mean, I don't think that is a place for that. I'm sorry.
I mean, I think you see why Marshawn didn't talk to the media when he was in Seattle. Because, I mean, he's just like, Marshawn's a really real dude. And he kind of limits his media availability. So I think that's probably why, that's why he didn't talk to the media much, because of that stuff. So I think it's very much who Marshawn is, and I'm not judging that. But in a telecast, I mean, it doesn't have any place there. So
the other thing, Marshawn, the whole end of the whole first game, because he was on there, they go, oh, Marshawn's going to suit up. He's playing. He's coming in for the Beast. I think they got that peak viewership right at the beginning of the Beast game, and Patrick and all of them. And I tweeted at Patrick. I said, I would like to know what happened. Was it, insurance? Was it health? Was it someone saying this is not a good idea? But they teased Marshawn playing in that game. They said he is suited up. We have photos of him in the locker room. He is ready to go. And he didn't play. They came out the second the game started. They go, oh, yeah, he's not playing. Well, you sold people for about 45 minutes on the fact that Marshawn was going to play. And I think that is not good. So
they did. Of course, Manziel was on ESPN. We talked about that.
Yeah. Jordy got hurt. He's okay. Friend of the show. Jordy Erdman. He will probably be out this week, but is hoping to be back next week. He had a separated shoulder. He got tackled. He got knocked out of bounds. So the Bees are fully funded. They're the first team that's been fully funded. So that's exciting. The other teams are still trying to get money on that. The other, just a couple last notes. We're way too long on Fingertip Football. They announced the tags this week. Quentin Flowers got tagged by the Beast, Anthony Jones, Andrew Jamil. Vince with Alt Football Scouting had this big take with the Wild Aces one. And I did just want to get into this a little bit. That Ladarius Galloway, he had tweeted that he only wanted to play for the Beast and that he wanted to be on that team and whatever. Kalen Campbell had won the game for the Wild Aces week 1. And Greg had gone on and basically made fun of Ladarius, said, we're going to draft you, to get you away from the Bees. Ha, ha, ha. Isn't this funny? He even posted the $1 million man, like, ha, 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 that gif. And he ended up deleting that because I think that it really rubbed people the wrong way that you had someone kind of mocking. I don't know. It felt like a very negative tone from one of the team owners. I get this is all trash talking. What do you think about that and the fact that he deleted the tweet afterward?
I think that maybe Patrick D sets them into him like, hey, fan controlled. We're fan driven, not Greg Miller driven.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Just interesting on that. Vince was really fired up. I just wanted to mention that. And then the final thing, we have the big Bachelor news on the podcast. Rachel Lindsay, former Bachelorette, in the weirdest fit I've ever heard, joined Greg Miller and Austin Eckler and Jack Settleman as a co-owner of the Wild Aces. I think that's very, very odd. What do you think? What do you think about that?
I don't watch The Bachelor, so I couldn't tell you.
But what do you think about the fact? Why can I not delete this stuff? But what do you think about the fact that a Bachelorette star, she is a star, she hosts a Bachelor podcast. There's a lot of controversy right now. Chris Harrison is stepping away from the show over racial driven comments. What do you think about Bachelor Nation getting involved in fan control football?
I mean, it's a way to maybe broaden the viewership. Possibly. I don't know. I don't watch The Bachelor. I can't tell you how rabid the fan. I know you watch it. I know Nidia watches it. Niggas love that crap. But I honestly, I don't know if people who watch The Bachelor, besides you, would watch this.
No.
I know people are going to go, oh, the chick from The Bachelor. I'm going to watch this.
No one's going to watch. It's like when they did the whole, when TNA Wrestling used to have the NASCAR guys come on and they're like, oh, we're going to get all the NASCAR fans. Nobody cares. People watch The Bachelor, or they're not one more person is going to watch fan control football. Not any disrespect about Rachel. It could be anybody. You could have Chris Harrison on the team. No one, it doesn't matter though. So,
as Stephen A would say, I'm going to tell you right now, we don't care. We don't care.
Do you want to do one last break before we get into the bonus stuff?
We got to pay one more bill here, and we'll come back and we'll talk about the stuff that annoys me.
Big story. I'm dying to hear about this.
Okay. I'm a big baseball guy. We've talked about that before. I don't think I would hand this much money to a 22-year-old kid who has less than 500 at-bats at the major league level. He's exciting to watch, don't get me wrong. But Fernando Tatis Jr. getting $340 million on a 14-year contract extension, that's just crazy to me.
Yeah, can you give context? I saw this just for anyone that's not a baseball player. This is a huge monster contract came out Wednesday, right?
Yeah. This is massive. He's an exciting player, don't get me wrong. I don't know when they had to renew his contract. It's so interesting how this all came to be because his dad was a legend with the St. Louis Cardinals. His dad told St. Louis, hey, my kid is a baller. You got to check him out. He's going to be great. St. Louis sent their scouts 16 times to see this kid, said he doesn't have it. The White Sox had him, traded him for this washed up pitcher named James Shields. And now look at him. The guy's a phenom. But $340 million over the next 14 years, it's a bit much for a kid that had a hot season. One hot season. It's a bit much.
Yeah. Well, first off, I saw his agents got like 17 million commission off that deal. So that's not too bad to work that. And then, the big thing now is posting, how old will you be when his contract retires? And you said
56.
Yeah, that's a long time.
And one of the interesting things we talk about it, like I make a joke every year when it comes up, Bobby Bonilla Day, the day that Bobby Bonilla gets paid again from the Mets until 2035. The final Bobby Bonilla Day will be the final year of Fernando Tatis's contract. That's insane to me.
That's incredible.
I also look at they talk about teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers buying their titles. And I know people are going to say, well, the Dodgers only played 60 games, blah, blah, blah. It's the only reason you say stupid like that. I held off there.
That's good. You're good.
I'm not going to go Marshawn here.
Yeah,
the only reason you say stupid stuff like that is because your team didn't win the World Series in 60 games. Only reason you're crap talking the Dodgers right now. So they say the Dodgers and Yankees buy their titles. Do you know how much money the San Diego Padres have tied up in their infield alone? 4 players, $821 million. Hosmer's got a $144 million deal. Manny Machado's got a $300 million deal. Tatis has a $340 million deal. $821 million in their infield alone. This is going to end very badly for the Padres.
Yeah.
Going to end very badly for the Padres.
Just wild. I knew you would have something to say on that, so I put that on the show. That was good. I put that on the show. I figured you would have an opinion on that.
I have an opinion on that. I think what are they doing? Like, this is a small market team. They're not a big market team. They can't afford this. They're going to have to get rid of Machado or Tatis, and who do you think they're going to be able to get more out of trade wise? It's going to be Tatis.
Last note, I want to hear the story. Your connection has been crystal clear today.
I'm glad because that you made that the most important thing was how the XFL Markcast viewers would view my. I like my movies, but that's the more important thing.
I didn't say. I said
it's an added benefit. I know.
Fans of the YouTube channel will know that there has been just a little connection issues dating back to when you had a certain neighbor move in next door. We talked about it on the podcast about him trying to steal your DoorDash. That was we led the show with that one week about him stealing your DoorDash, trying to. What is going on with this?
Well, he's out of the shower.
Okay.
Thank God for that. He's out of the shower. We took a break. I heard the water shut off. I'm like, only 40 minutes this time.
He showers a lot, like 6 times a day.
Like 6 times a day. It's insane. I don't know anybody that showers that much. I only shower once.
But besides that, the internet issue. So your internet has been to crap for a while now.
Like it's been I've been trying to watch movies on my Apple TV. It cuts out and it's annoying. And then I'll every 3 minutes, either it's Netflix stops, Apple Movie stops, or I get breakup. Digital hits in my Disney Plus. Anyway, I digress. So I get on the line with Spectrum and and they tell me to plug my computer directly into the modem. It doesn't work. I don't get online. I bypass the router and plug it directly in the modem. It doesn't work. Don't get online. All right, we're going to send a technician out. So come to find out, there's 3 problems. Probably 2-3 weeks before this all started happening, I noticed there was a little spot on the wall where the line was broken out. There's a cord cover, and the cord cover was busted off in a certain area.
Outside your apartment?
Outside the apartment.
Okay.
And I went, that's interesting. And come to find out, there was a very Mickey Mouse rigged split that happened. Someone spliced the cable, reattached it, and then put a splitter on, and then ran on. I don't know how this happened. This happened.
But your neighbor split the internet.
Yeah. So they fixed that.
Did Spectrum be like, isn't that like a felony to like mess with their cables and stuff?
It should be.
Like if I went out to like this, we have CenturyLink fiber. Like if I went out to the fiber box and just started like fiddling, they would
come over and like either it's going to be, if it's not criminal, it's definitely civil.
Yeah.
They'll sue you. So they fixed the splitter. Then they found out a cord in my apartment that was coming from the wall to the modem was bad. So they gave me a new cord for that. And then they told me something that I did not know. And this is remarkable. They said the router that we gave you only limits you to 400 megabytes down. So I was wondering why I could never, ever like get the best speed. Like it always topping out around 400, 500 megabytes per second. He's like, that router limits you. That router is basic. It's for the lowest tier internet. It limits you to 400 megabytes. He's like, go out and get another router. Don't go through us. Go out and get another router. So I went and got another router. And now this router allows me 3 gigabytes down. So that's why we're getting a crystal clear connection. So 3 issues, all fixed.
But I don't care about the router. Your neighbor was stealing your internet because he was on your Wi-Fi. You found out he was on the Wi-Fi. You kicked him off.
Kicked him off. Changed everything.
And then now he literally hardwired split. So did you talk to him? Like, did anyone talk to him? Did Spectrum? They just like, oh, let's patch it up. Were there no questions? How did this happen?
I don't think I was in it. I don't know what happened after the guy left. I can't tell you. I know he sat in his car for a little bit. I think he saw him on the phone. I don't know if he was informing someone that something was going on. But yeah, he just came and he's like, yeah, we saw a little device outside that was knocking down some signal. And I'm like, little devices in what? He's like, well, I can't really say. And I'm like, was it a splitter? He's like, it appeared to be a splitter. I'm like, okay, you could just say that someone's splitting the signal. I don't know how that happened because normally when you have a cable internet connection, you have to call up and say, like, can you provision my modem to the signal? I don't know how this all happened.
Wow. I mean, I would talk to property management. I mean, that's just wild. I think that is, I've tweeted, I said, there's no greater crime than stealing someone else's Wi-Fi. I can't imagine what, like actually cutting the cable and splitting
the amount of effort that went into that.
Yeah.
Well, and the problem is like, I call property management, I tell them, and they're going to be like, well, we can't do anything about it because there's an eviction moratorium in California.
I think that is a problem. So
I don't know what's happening. I don't know what this issue is, but it needs to stop. I want it to stop.
Well, the water thing, you guys all pay for combined water use, the internet thing.
Well, they cap it. I emailed them. I'm like, hey, what is the situation on the water? Because I was concerned about the 6 1-hour showers. And they're like, well, it's split 8 ways, but we cap it at $37, which I'm like, okay, fine. $37. It's not going to break the bank. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, eventually they're saying it's capped at $37 now, but what's going to happen when they're like, your water usage is through the roof?
Yeah.
Increase dramatically. We have to take the cap off and cap you at 50. Wow. Like, when does it end?
I think that with the internet, there needs to be some repercussion that whether they call it Spectrum or whatever, but I think that is pretty wild. So
I agree. Yeah. I think it's, and Will was like, I can't believe you weren't more pissed off about the food, given that you were that pissed off about your clothes getting taken out of the washer. And that was the thing, like with the clothes, with the other neighbor to the other side of me. Like, it's one thing to take my clothes out of the dryer if I leave them in the dryer, but I set an alarm on my phone, so I knew exactly when to go get my clothes. Mm-hmm. My clothes were already out of the washer, and his clothes were coming out of the washer and going into the dryer. So he took my clothes out of the washer early to wash his clothes. So anyway, I digress.
And then he stole your food? And then he stole your food?
No, this was that. So there's 2 different neighbors, right?
He accused you, right? He was like, did you steal it?
Yeah, then like the other day, he's like, did you steal my food? I'm like, no. He knocked on my door. He's like, hey, did you steal my DoorDash? I'm like, no. I was in the bathroom. I was in bed. I'm like,
if I knew I was stealing your internet, I wouldn't be bugging you about anything, right? I would be like, I'd be ducking you. I wouldn't be like confronting you about things.
And we're in the middle of a pandemic. You're never wearing a mask when you're just around people. Like, you're standing close to the other neighbor, the cool guy. You're standing close to him. You're not wearing a mask. Like, what is happening? Like this, I don't know what his deal is.
Yeah, that's wild.
Anyway.
That was good. It's a bonus at the end. It's fine. If you tuned out, it's fine. But I think that's fascinating. So I'm glad you got your internet. 3 gigs is good. I only have a gig here, fiber, but are you 3? What's your upload?
My upload now, I did the speed test. It's like 840 up.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So really good.
Because I'm like, there's no way they give you 3 gigs.
I'm sorry. It's 840 down and it's like 100 up.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, it's not fiber, it's cable internet. It's good up. That's good. I mean, it was averaging about 40 before. Now it's like 90, 100. So it's better.
Yeah. Your thing just glitched like one time, the whole thing. So that's good. I mean, it's fine. I'm happy that it all worked out. So.
How does the audio sound? Does it sound better?
It sounds good.
Good.
If you've made it this far in the show, let us know. How's the audio sound?
Awesome. XFLshow.com/review to leave us a review. Also, XFLshow.com/merch to buy some merch, support the podcast. We appreciate it.
Yep. And this has been a long one. It's good. Thanks.
You didn't say any of the cliche things that I have a bell. Now I'm going to ding.
Oh, if I did, would you have done it?
Yeah. So if you say something like you're doing the Lord's work.
Wow, that is loud in my ear. That is really loud in my ear.
That's the point. You say something like jam-packed.
Wow. That's really loud.
No edits. There you go.
There you go.
We got a cliche bell here on that Markcast just for you, Reed.
Well, good. Thank you again. I think The Rock wears tight shirts. I think that's a good episode title.
The Rock wears tight shirts.
Okay. Thanks again.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.